The finals update 4.2.0 is finally here, and with it comes a bunch of buffs to weapons that were pretty powerful, such as the pike and the CL40, and then also some minor buffs here and there to some weapons like the V9S. So let's just jump into it. Welcome to 4.2. This update comes jam-packed with changes from a brand new event in the World Tour, ranked rewards, a brand new community event, and balance changes. First, let's check out this week's store update. And then if you go in game, you will see this thing that you can buy, and then you're just gonna get all of that. I'm probably gonna be showing it on screen as we speak. World Tour event Prime Time buff. Let's jump into this week's changes and start off with a brand new event in the World Tour, Prime Time buff. Prime Time buff triggers when you or a teammate inserts a cash box into a cash out station, and it affects your whole team. When you are affected by Primetime buff, when affected by Primetime buff, you and your teammates receive plus 100 health over your typical max health. Example, a light player would go from having a max of 150 to 250 health. Some notes about Primetime buff. If taking damage, the extra health does not replenish. When the cash out is finished, the buff disappears. The buff cannot be stacked, but it can be replenished if your team deposits another cash box. The buff does not apply to teammates that are eliminated when the cash box is inserted. So if you're eliminated and then you revive, you're not going to respawn with 100 extra health, I believe. And Gmo are truly treating us well on their last stop of the World Tour, which includes the following maps: Fortune Stadium, Monaco, Kyoto, and System Horizon. So there's just a whole new map modifier there, which is called Primetime buff. You put a cash box into a cash out, and you will get an extra 100 HP for the duration of that cash out, but if you take damage, you will not regenerate that 100 HP. So it definitely seems a little random, but it might be a little bit confusing actually for, you know, TTKs and how many shots it takes to kill people. I think that might be a little off-putting, but it's also kind of like a cool idea because it does definitely it makes you want to put a vault into the cash out, which is probably just a net good, because sometimes people like to camp totems and all of that kind of stuff, and none of that's very good. So I think if people just focus on opening the vault, putting the vault into the cash out, and if both teams do that, then it's also going to kind of result in a net positive, because I think there's going to be like less third partying as a result of that as well. So we'll have to see how it works, but I think that that's probably just an interesting change, and it's not in ranked, it's just in World Tour, so it's not really going to affect that at all, because it's not in ranked, and World Tour is just kind of like a fun game mode where it doesn't really matter if you lose anyway. So anyway, on to the next thing, Season 3 ranked rewards. Now, you can read this all if you want, I'll have it up on the screen, but basically, they plan to implement this at some point before the next update during 4.2, but they're not going to be giving out the ranked rewards just yet because they want to make sure that they do it properly. That's all that this really says, so you can go and read the rest of that if you want. Then, we have community event. Lastly, we're introducing the first community event of Season 4. For this event, we're challenging all of you to eliminate 10 million enemy contestants using the brand new weapons introduced in Season 4 before the time runs out. If you succeed, you'll all be rewarded with the Ngemo community compliant .50 akimbos. We'll be monitoring your progress closely. Best of luck, contestants. Now, let's get into the balance changes and fixes of this update. So there's just like a new event. If you participate in it by getting any kills with any of the new weapons, then you will also be getting that skin, assuming the community manages to complete the challenge. So, balance changes. Data Reshaper. Added glitch barrels to the rotation of reshaped items from Data Reshaper. Added glitch barrels to the rotation of reshaped items the Data Reshaper can create. So, yeah, I'm not going to go into that too much, but I'm not too sure what the order is going to be. There is a certain order to it. I think it's like POG RS or something like that. I can't quite remember, but now it's going to have a slightly different rotation. So if anyone knows what it is, do leave a comment down below and I might pin it or something. So yeah. And then we have smoke grenades. Increase smoke entity duration from 15 to 17.5 seconds. This means enemy health bars and outlines will not show through the smoke until the effect properly begins to disappear. For the game modes in ranked tournaments and in World Tour, updated the spawn point selection logic in the final round of the tournament for teams who got wiped. This should reduce the number of long distance spawns that occur. Increase the variety of cash out spawn locations when spawning the next objectives. And this is in ranked and World Tour. Then, we get into the proper stuff, the real meat of this sandwich. Specialization's mesh shield. Decrease mesh shield cooldown from 12 seconds to 8 seconds if the shield is damaged when closed, and decrease mesh shield cooldown from 8 seconds to 4 seconds if the shield is undamaged when closed. And then there's a little dev note here that I'm not going to read, but they basically say that they messed up because they nerfed it way too much, and now they're trying to, you know, buff it up a little bit more, but they still don't want to allow mesh shield juggling to be a thing. So this might make it more usable. Chard and Slam and Winchclaw are both really good as is, though, and the Goo Gun is also like a pretty solid specialization if you know how to use it. So I don't think that this is going to be enough to make the mesh shield worthwhile. I think you can use it if you really want to. But Chard and Slam is very, very, very good. Winchclaw is very good if you're pairing it with the right stuff. And Goo Gun is also solid. So I don't know if this is going to be used, but, you know, it might be. But I feel like it's still going to be a little bit weak in the current meta right now. So yeah. Weapons, CL40, decrease damage from 117 to 100, so this is going straight back to where it was before the start of Season 3. But we have increased the ammo count from 4 to 5. So in my recent video where I talked about how to buff the CO4, or how to nerf the CO4 rather, I talked about two things. One thing you could have done was decrease the max damage range, which I think is like 0.8 or 0.3 or something. I'm not too sure what it was, but just decrease the max damage range from like 0.8 to 0.6 or 0.3 to 0.2 or something like that, so that it was harder to get the maximum damage when you were shooting, so the gun required some amount of precision to use, or buff the mag size and nerf the damage. And that's what's happening here. I recommended 4 to 6 instead of 4 to 5. I think that's a little bit of a weak buff mag size wise, and I think that the damage nerf is going to outweigh that. But I'll keep going for the moment. Increase self damage multiplier from 0.75 to 1.6, so this is more than doubled. Update damage fall off curve so that damage drops to 90% at the edge of the 30 centimeter inner radius, while damage falling off linearly from that point to 0 at the outer edge of the blast radius. And now I am going to read this dev note. We felt our buff of the CL40 in 4.0 was too much and made the weapon very oppressive in certain combos or when stacked. We've now dialed the damage back to a level closer to what we had before 4.0 while retaining the increased size of the max damage inner radius. To prevent the weapon from returning to a time when it took 100% accuracy to take down a heavy, we've given it 1 additional ammo. As always, we'll continue to monitor the impact of this change and adjust further if needed. So the max size has been increased, but the damage has been nerfed again. So it's going to take 4 shots to take out a heavy, so you're going to have to be real accurate to kill a heavy with 5 bullets. You're not going to have to be all the way accurate, but you are going to have to be real accurate. Self-damage went up, and the damage fall-off curve has been changed a little bit. So yeah, this is just a net nerf. It's not going to be nearly as good as it was before, but I think it might still be viable. With the max size increase, it might still be viable, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere as near as it was before. So I think that this is probably going to be goodbye to the CL40 in any sort of meta for a good while. But it's probably still going to be usable. I don't think it's going to suck. I think it's just definitely not going to be meta at all, which it kind of was in like bronze to gold. This was pretty good choice, and it didn't require very much aim. So onto the pike. This was going to be the meta for people that were in like plat to ruby, really. These were the types of people that were going to be using the pike. If you were in bronze to gold, there's really just not a whole lot of point using it because it's hard to aim. But this was meta in the higher up ranks, and now that is no longer going to be the case. Pike 556, decreased damage from 59 to 52. Dev note, on reviewing data, it's become apparent that the pike was fairly overtuned in our 4.0 release, and this adjustment is intended to move it to a more reasonable place. We suspect it may still be too effective in too many different use cases, so we'll continue to review the impact of this change and adjust in later patches if we feel more balancing is needed. So this is nice because I was expecting this to get like a mag size nerf or, you know, way more visual recoil or something like that, just like a roundabout kind of a nerf, but no, we actually get like a flat out 59 to 52 damage nerf, and that's it. So I actually quite like this. I think it's still going to be usable. I think it takes an extra shot to kill some of the classes, but I think it's still going to be useful. It's still going to be a good long-range weapon for the medium. So I think you're still going to be seeing this, but it's just not going to be as good as it was before. So I think that this is actually just going to push the meta towards just being the Model 1887, really. So I feel like we might be seeing a nerf for that sometime soon. Then we have the V9S. Decreased fire rate from 430 to 360 RPM, but increased the damage from 37 to 40. So fire rate nerf, but damage buff. And the devs go on to say, these changes have been made to prevent various methods where players could ensure they got the effective maximum fire rate from the weapon through the use of specific binds, causing it to be highly effective compared to its intended baseline. The damage increase has been applied to offset some of the effective DPS the weapon lost with the decreased fire rate. Overall, the effectiveness of the weapon for regular players should not be massively different. So basically, before, the fire rate was really hard to achieve the maximum of. It was really hard to get that maximum fire rate unless you were messing around with certain keybinds, like using the mouse wheel to fire or something like that. Is something I think some people do, and the devs didn't really like that, and they wanted people to be able to get that high fire rate, so they nerfed the fire rate to what people were realistically getting anyway, and then they buffed the damage a little bit to kind of counteract the fire rate nerf. So overall, I think this is probably just a very small buff to the V9S, but nothing crazy or anything like that. And then, of course, we also have a lot of content and bug fixes. I'm probably just going to put these on the screen. I'm probably not going to read through them a whole lot. But yeah, I'll probably just chuck them on the screen and you can, you know, read through it as you like. So yeah, CL40 has been nerfed. And the pike has also been nerfed. So like I said, the CL40 would have been pretty good pick, pretty meta from like unranked up to gold, maybe even plat. And now that it has been nerfed, that is no longer going to be the case. And the pike was pretty meta for anyone at the higher up levels, from like high plat to ruby. The pike would have been a very good choice for the medium. And also medium, for all of Season 4 so far, has been the meta pick. Lights still suck, medium is very good, and heavy is like an okay choice. You can still go with heavy if you know what you're doing. But yeah, so medium has just been meta because they had really good weapons that did a lot of damage really quickly, like the pike, like the CL40, and like the Model 1887. They still have the Model 1887. They can also heal people, which is real annoying, and they can also revive people, which is real annoying. And they also have a very good counter to people reviving, which is the glitch mines. So they both revive people and have the counter to reviving people. So I might make a video talking about this, but the medium has been very meta with this season because they've had very good weapons and also, you know, very good healing beam, very good defib and all of that kind of stuff. And heavy was also nerfed, which just kind of made the medium better. So yeah, the medium has been very powerful this season, but now that the CL40 has been nerfed, now that the pike has been nerfed, I think the medium is still going to be meta, but I think it's just going to be the Model 1887 that you're going to be seeing around. You might be seeing more AKMs, FCARs, and maybe some more FAMASs now, because with the nerf of the pike, all of those are going to be more usable, I think. But the Model 1887 is still going to be a very good pick for the medium. And nothing was buffed here, so light wasn't buffed at all, heavy wasn't buffed at all, so the medium is still simply going to continue to be meta. AKM is going to be a good pick, FAMAS is going to be a good pick if you can hit the shots. The Model 1887 is going to be a very good pick, and then obviously you want to have defib, jump pad / zipline, and then whatever you want on the third slot, really. So that's what I think is going to be the metal loadout, but I'll probably make some more videos on that in the coming days. But yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.